Hey, what's up? Good morning, everyone. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, Trade Pros. Hope everyone's doing well. It is Friday, March 3rd, and we don't have non-farm payrolls this week. We have non-farm payrolls next week, so that's what we're going to be looking forward to, the pre-market session. And we're going to talk about what had happened yesterday in the market. Decent, strong rally off some key support levels, and through our pivot that we were talking about, right? So there was some short attempts early on in the morning, but that didn't last too long as we got that bid through the afternoon. So why did that happen necessarily? There was Fed comments from Bostic, also Waller spoke, I do believe. So we're going to cover that. We're going to cover a few different things here. We can look at a bit of crypto. We're going to take a look at what Bostic said. What else are we going to take a look at? We're going to take a look at Microsoft a bit as well and talk about what we have in terms of news today and the potential movement for the coming day and see how we close out this market, right? There's a decent bit of bull baked into this, and we'll talk about why. So first and foremost, right, there is some crypto news before we get into the meat of this. The crypto world has taken a beating naturally since FTX, that massive disaster, which reverberated throughout the entire system in the recent months. And this week, we witnessed a solvency issue at crypto-focused bank Silvergate Capital SI, right? However, Bitcoin plus 34% year to date, Ethereum up 29% year to date, and other tokens have managed to shake off the headlines, and talk of more centralized industry is heating up again. In fact, Nellie Liang, a Treasury Undersecretary for Domestic Finance, shed some light on the possible launch of digital dollars as she led a new senior level working group that will explore central bank digital currencies. So that's a pretty interesting note there. I'm not going to dive too much into that because I want to focus on Bostic and what had happened. So equities ripped aggressively mid-session yesterday following some comments from Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic, who said that central banks could be in a position to pause rate hikes this summer. So this was picked out of the whole narrative. He was somewhat neutral on the narrative, right? There was hawkishness, there was dovishness, as we clearly saw, but that was picked out as a dovish speech, a dovish announcement on the market, ripped pretty aggressively, finishing higher, allowing the S&P and NASDAQ to halt a two-session slide and re-engulf those losses. So the jobs market continues to run unsustainably hot, and that inflation is not coming down as fast as I had thought, said Christopher Waller, on the other hand, who added that wishful thinking is not a substitute for hard evidence in the form of economic data, and rising interest rates have seen mortgage prices climb this week above their 52-week average, while recent reports suggest that Blackstone just defaulted on a 531 million euro mortgage-backed bond. So we'll see how that kind of shapes up, and if we get more news out of that. But talking about Bostic a little more, and Waller was a little more hawkish, but Bostic, he was on the neutral front, right? He talked about stronger than expected recent inflation jobs numbers. So did Waller. They talked about, is that really the case? We're going to have to be more data dependent and see how that kind of shapes up in the coming months. Or was it just a blip in data? And the next time we see this data, we have CPI coming out in 2 weeks, I do believe, or next week. I think it's 2 weeks. But it might be a blip until we see further data that kind of supports or denies that. We're kind of in limbo at this point. So Bostic, right, he said, I'm gonna stay open to the possibility that if data comes in stronger than expected, then I will adjust my policy trajectory. He also said there is a case that could be made that we need to go higher. Consumer spending is strong and labor markets remain quite tight, and that those suggest the economy's strength could be a bit more than people think, which means we need to do more. So these comments came after Bostic wrote in an essay on Wednesday that he believes the Fed needs to raise rates by 50 basis points to the 5 to 525 range and hold it at that level well until 2024. Current rates sit at the target 4.5 to 475. So Bostic sees that the Fed will require only one or two more hikes, right? And then kind of flatline. So that's where some of the dovishness came through. And obviously he was more malleable in terms of where the policy and his policy could stand based on the economic data that comes through, right? He wouldn't firmly commit to a policy rate until the meeting, and he is firmly in the camp of moving a quarter point increments to get to that level. So other than that, right? We also had Christopher Waller, and he said he's skeptical the Fed may be making progress and needed to moderate economic growth and bring down inflation. So he was more hawkish on that front, but the market took Bostic's speech and ran with it literally to the freaking skies. So with that being said, we can take a look at what's going on overall. Just looking at Microsoft here super quickly is reported to head over toward the European Union antitrust approval for a $69 billion bid of Activision Blizzard. And thanks to its offer to license video games to its competitors, that suggests that what looked like a huge hurdle will instead clear the way for Microsoft's biggest ever acquisition setup for a competitive battle with Sony and Tencent. So, essay contributor, and some of the analysts called for a merger arbitrage opportunity in early February. I don't know where Activision is headed right now, but this should be pretty good for Microsoft realistically. We'll take a look. Obviously, Microsoft, the company that is doing the acquiring, is probably going to pull back a little. Yesterday, it bounced off some key support zones as well. ATVI, I think, has just been flatlined for a very, very long time. It's up a little here pre-market naturally. But Microsoft right now, along with a lot of other tech names, Microsoft, Google, right, Amazon, Meta, even Apple, right, they bounced off the key support, and we'll see. Maybe this is the turning point where we start to see a little more upside in this market, and that could have been the dip that gets bought up, right? Very, very strong rally here overnight as well. The market continues to ride higher. We're trading 410s right now in the S&P 500 futures. After we broke above that 50 yesterday, that was the key turning point. Those 50s just buy stop through, and from there, realistically, targets were 63, 74, and 90. It did a very, very clean number to really rip through a lot of that resistance, and right now we're ripping through the 4,000. We cleared a lot of poor highs to the upside, and naturally, I am looking for the bullish side, and today I wanted to see more of a dip, however, to come back into that 90 and even the 83s, but right now, if we get a 30, 40 point drop, is it something that I necessarily want to buy? Pullbacks look at 96s and 90s, right? I wouldn't want it too much lower than that. Realistically, we've just traded 40.10, which is a huge resistance point. Trying to fade a monster move right now throughout this day is going to be very risky business and could really bite you in the ass. So just be careful. Have a pivot. Understand where that pivot is. For me, the pivot sits at the low 90s to mid 90s because that's the top of a distribution block. If we accept below that area, what happens is we're going to be targeting the bottom end of the distribution block where price will want to stay within that balance. But right now we are outside of balance, trying to make the move back to the upside with targets at 24.30 and let's see where else. 24.30 and like 40, right? So keep those areas in mind as we look to close a strong Friday. Naturally, Fridays are pretty juiced up overall, and we'll see where that goes. So I hope everyone has a great weekend. I'm not necessarily planning to trade. I already took a 5-point stop here, trying to short this back into an area where I want to buy it. So who knows? Maybe I just call it a red day today, or maybe I look for something before I head out. It is a national holiday here in Bulgaria, so all my Bulgarians, happy Liberation Day, 3 Mart, the 3rd of March, right? Huge day in Bulgaria. And I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll chat to you guys soon. We'll see what's going on. And remember, final words. This Monday through Friday, coming up next week, starting March 6th, we are going to be live trading in our Discord. So check out community.tradeproacademy.com to get access to that Discord. We're going to be going on live every morning and just trading with you guys, chatting with you guys, and seeing what's up. This is the first time we've opened up the community, our live community, for such an extended period of time. So I really hope to see you all there. If we get, let's say over 100 people in the first day in that live, I'll drop something for you guys in that chat. So keep an eye out on that, and I hope to see you all there. So thank you and take care.